Welcome to the Who Cares podcast spin-off Mind Matters. Here to talk about mental health, well-being, and everything in between. So who have we got here? We've got John. Do you want to introduce yourself?
So I'm John Powell. I run the Who Cares podcast, and we've got this motley crew together today to talk all things mental health, and hopefully have some fun on the way.
Yes.
I think what we're really keen to do is not to sort of make stuff up and just be too sort of structured with it. We're going to have a bit of a laugh, aren't we? So who else have we got? We've got Jen and... Sorry, who's she?
Jen and
Sorry?
I think she's doing the parking.
Oh, yeah, I'm still in the parking now.
She's the parking lady.
I've been slapping parking
She's
tickets
done nothing
on.
but moan.
Do you want to introduce yourselves?
I haven't done nothing, but it's too hot in here, by the way.
Unlucky.
Absolutely boiling.
Unlucky.
It's because you sat next to me.
Well, we're lucky on this side of the room. So Jen, go for it. So who are you and what are you doing here?
Well, thank you for inviting me, for starters. I don't really know what I'm doing here, if I'm honest. No, I do. I feel like it's really important. I think everybody I know in my life's been affected by mental health. I don't think there's one person I know that says, I'm absolutely fine, I'm really happy. And I've recently discovered, well, not recently discovered, but definitely been told that I've got severe ADHD. And my son is autistic as well, and I've had many friends lost to suicide, unfortunately. So
And that's brutal.
it is.
You're not old. Well, you might be sort of old, but you're
might
not
look it. I don't act it. But yeah, I've lost a lot of friends. Too many, actually. Not just to suicide, but yeah, exactly that. And I just think it's really important to talk about it, especially for men as well. Men are obviously known not to talk. And having ADHD as well, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and stuff, and that's really helped me.
Good.
So
well, welcome.
I'd like to help other people.
Right, come on.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah, we do like that.
Cute.
Yeah.
So cute.
So parking attendant.
Parking attendant, stroke traffic warden.
Go for it.
So I'm Emma, and I'm here because you've hounded me mercilessly
Unlucky.
for months to come here. Here we go. I'm going to throw that at your head in a minute. Kind of very early days of screening for ADHD, and like Jenna, have also experienced kind of suicide within families and friends, etc. Really quite recently as well. One of my, someone that's really close to me has experienced a close family member attempting to take their own lives. So it's kind of really, really prevalent at the moment. And I think I just want to help people to kind of lose some of the stigma around it and the embarrassment around it. And actually, it's a really, really serious subject. But I think, our approach to it, if we can kind of make it a little bit more kind of a bit lighthearted in our approach to it, to hopefully engage more people, because it is something that we all take really, really seriously, and kind of all jokes aside, it's something that's massively important to all of us, I think.
Yeah.
And all jokes aside, that is really true. I mean, Lee, I know you've been passionate about this for much longer, haven't you? We met through this sort of stuff, I think. So do you want to take off with how we're going to sort of talk about what we're going to talk about today? And
So we're going to start at the end, really, just as Simon Sinek says, start with the end in mind. With what is mental health, really an overview of what mental health is, the true meaning, looking at some of the common myths, misconceptions, and going to look at some of the labels as well, and because I think we're all guilty of mislabeling and throwing those terms out a bit casually, like, oh, I'm a bit OCD. No, you just like to clean your cups up after you've had a coffee, and the danger that presents itself. So I think if we start really simple, what is mental health? So what does mental health mean to all of us? So I don't know if anyone wants to start with that. If you don't want me to start with it.
I don't mind. So for me, mental health, I've had many different parts of mental health in my life, and I think that's one thing for me that's really critical to understand, that you can have a bad day, it doesn't mean you're always suffering with mental health,
definitely.
and there is a big difference. And I've had times in my life where I've wanted to end my life, and I've had times in my life where I've come to work and just been here functioning, and I've had to have people like my business partner literally wrapping me in cotton wool and going, do you know what, John, you're here, it's okay, just do what you need to do, but at least you're here. And you get through those things. That's the key thing. You can get through it, can't you? There's always someone if you want to reach out to get through it. But these days, I mean, you do learn coping mechanisms, and for me, sometimes I might become overwhelmed, and for me, that's a sleepless night. For me, it's like the ever-rotating anxiety overnight, and you're thinking about a load of nonsense in the morning, thinking, what the hell was that all about?
Everything's so much worse at night.
And it's literally the same issue going round and round your head, and you can't get out of this cycle. In the morning, you literally wake up after feels like 10 minutes sleep and go, oh my God, that is a load of old bollocks. It's absolute nuts. I've been sat there all night worrying, I've had no sleep. So to me, that's how mental health affects me. And it is a real impact on your family, because people around you have to witness that, and you're fidgeting and you're agitated. But you do learn to cope with it, and I have over the years. I mean, I don't know how it affects you guys and what it is for you.
Yeah, so just before we move on, just want to come back into that. So I think sleepless nights is one of the things that everyone suffers with, and I think you can suffer from sleepless nights when you've had a really good day, because it might be that you're overwhelmed. And people look at mental health, and when you Google mental health, you'll see these people in a darkened room, sitting in the corner, hating life. But it's also the positive, isn't it? Because we can also have a really good day, and that overwhelms us as well, and that impacts on mental health.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, that overstimulation, trying to kind of process and handle and deal with that overstimulation and the noise that brings. So a good day or a really, really bad day, it's the noise in your head sometimes, isn't it? You just can't shut up.
And it's also the accepting that sometimes if you have a good day and someone compliments you, it's like, I don't believe in that. And it's trying to accept that you have had a good day and you do deserve a good day, because you're so used to feeling like rubbish. And having a rubbish day, when you do have a good day, you're like, oh, I didn't really deserve that.
No, it's definitely a journey you go on, isn't it?
Constant battle.
Because in another week, you might have had a good day and go, I've really deserved that. I've had a great day. And thanks for saying that.
And that's really exciting and overwhelming.
But that's like dependent on where your mental health is at that time as well. Because if you're in a good place mentally and you have a really good day, you're kind of buzzing and you go with it and you're excited and it's like kind of really motivational. But actually, if you're in a bad place mentally and something good happens, that's where you start doing the whole beating yourself up.
Yeah, it's a constant argument in your head. Do I deserve this?
Yeah,
is that really? Yeah.
And I don't think it's always about beating yourself up either. Sometimes you just don't know the answer, and sometimes that problem's so big. It might be to do with a classic one for men is dealing with the children and an ex or something like that, because that's really hard for a man to deal with. And although mentally you're not beating yourself up, you just don't know how to manage it, and it feels like an endless tunnel you can't get out of. And that then just puts you into a downward spiral, doesn't it? And it doesn't matter who you reach out to, someone will go, oh, you've got to pay for them, I've got no money, I've got to do this, I want to see them. And before you know it, you're just going, oh. And I think we have to understand that sometimes, don't we? That sometimes it's not just about how you feel inside yourself, it's outside, external things you can't be in control of.
Yeah, definitely.
And that for me is one thing you have to learn, is that you can't control everything.
I think it's like the masking thing as well you spoke about earlier, and you try and we all do that, don't we? We mask and we learn to we got our own kind of self-controls in place, because if we know that we're struggling, but we've got to get on with being a parent, we've got to get on with going to work, we've got to get on with being a friend, a family member, and we mask and we mask and we mask, and it gets to the point where it just becomes too much and your body just kind of shuts down. It was, a couple of weeks ago I took my dogs for a walk in Bakers Park, and I literally froze to the spot. I stood there and I'd had a really, really bad week, and I was really struggling to cope. I wasn't in a good way at all. And I think I spoke to you about it, John, actually, and I kind of stood in Bakers Park and I just froze to the spot, and I was almost laughing. I was like, this is ridiculous. I can't even move. It's insane. My dogs are over there. I don't know what's going on. But you kind of get to that point where your body... And you had gone
from such a good place to such a bad place very, very quickly. Yeah. And I think your body just like, whoa,
it just shut down. It just absolutely shut down. It's like, enough is enough. You've masked. I'm telling you to bloody stop now.
This is not okay.
You have to stop and you have to listen.
But the nice thing about you is you do reach out, don't you, to different people. Yeah. Then you might get someone like me who goes, stop being a bloody idiot, and then she'll laugh and just start walking.
But do you not think that's a manly thing, though? Men are meant to be all strong, and and it's...
No, he was laughing at me. He was taking the piss out of me.
Oh. she was frozen to the spot, and I was like, stop being a dick. Yeah.
Get on with it. But you need that approach sometimes. Yeah. You don't want people to pander to you, do you? Like, it's that kind of reality check again, that actually you're going to be all right. Just get off that bloody spot and go home and have a cup of tea.
And don't get me wrong, I think there's time and place for supporting people, but you have to understand who that person is to be that support. Yeah. And I know with you particularly, if you were to phone me and say certain things, I'd be like, okay, we need to talk about this. If you phone me and say this sort of things the other day, I'm just like, I'm bored.
Sorry for you, John.
You're boring me.
I'll just stay here.
Yeah, that's when I get all the voice notes.
I'll come down and throw water balloons at you when I get a minute.
That'll get you moving.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it all comes down to that thing that we need to be able to listen, because we always talk about when you're suffering from mental health to reach out to give someone a call, but then I don't think we as British people know how to listen properly, because John could give me a call and say I'm struggling. I could say, "I'll be all right, mate, you'll get through this," but it won't be so. I had a colleague who called me up. His mum isn't going to make it, so she's terminal. So when I'm speaking to that person, there's no point me saying it's going to be okay, because it's not. It's going to get a hell of a lot worse before it gets better. But you have to say, "I'm sorry you're going through that. I'm here for you.
We can get through
whatever
this.
you need."
Whatever,
Yeah. Just it's okay to let them have that suffering.
It's that acknowledgement that
trying to force it.
Yeah, it's the acknowledgement that that is just a really crap situation, and no matter what we talk, what we say, or try and console, it's not going to fix the situation. That's when it's really important to just kind of be there to listen and value the feelings of somebody, and kind of reassure them what their feelings. That's okay to feel like that, because all this whole it's good to talk thing. I think we have to accept sometimes that for some people,
it's not.
Talking's not going to fix it.
No, I've got a friend of mine up in Newbury, and when they're down, they don't want to talk to you. They just want you to be there. So they might say, "You're going to come around and have a cuppa," and they don't really want to talk to you at all. They just want somebody there where they've worked through it in their minds, and maybe just sit and have a cup of tea and just have somebody in the room with them. So everyone's different, aren't they? Have you seen that interview with Simon? Is it Simon Sinek or whatever his name is? And he was saying that one of his friends read a book somewhere, and they were saying that it takes 8 minutes. So somebody needs 8 minutes of your time to help them feel better or something. And I really love that. So for his friends and him now, if they need help, they won't just text and go, "What are you up to?" They'll say, "Do you have 8 minutes?"
Okay.
And I quite like that. It's
I
like
like
a little
that,
sign, isn't it? Say, "You know what? I don't want to
I'm
say what's
reaching out
wrong.
for help, but I don't want to tell you that I'm reaching out for help." I like that.
I don't want you just to turn up thinking that it's going to give me a cup of tea. I need 8 minutes for you to listen. And I really like that. But for him, it'd be like 45
Well,
minutes.
I had it was 12 minutes, but I wasn't going to pick that yet.
So
That's a good code. I like that.
yeah, I do like that before we move on, because everyone's got 8 minutes, haven't we? We've all got
of
8
course.
minutes. Put the kettle on and just have 8 minutes. So probably same question to, I haven't heard much from Jen, so
Come
we've
on.
all heard the phrase mental health thrown around, but what does that mean to you?
It's very up and down. That's my experience of it. A lot of my family have suffered with it. I have suffered with it. Friends have suffered with it. Lost friends, whatever. Recently, I experienced a very, very close loved one attempt to take their life, and I couldn't believe. Again, you're going through the same sort of
It was
someone
more
you
for
know
you,
of.
though, because it was your particularly close family member, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I just think you don't realise the effect that it has on people around you when you realise that person's been going through it and you didn't know. And that was a really close loved one, and I didn't know that things had got that bad. So I think I've had such a different experience with mental health, like with depression and then people with additional needs and trying to manage that undiagnosed, especially like nowadays that everyone's coming out, "Oh, I've got ADHD," and having my diagnosis has helped me have clarity and direction in my life and understand who I am. And I think that's what it is for me, really. It's understanding who you are as a person and thinking it's okay to be me. It's okay that I'm not the same as everybody else. It's okay that I go to bed later and I wake up later. That's okay. I don't have to fall into the same category as everybody else. But yeah, I think it's really, really good to have good friends around you and have even that one person where you can say, "Can you give me 8 minutes?"
Do you find that sometimes that the people that support you are the most unlikely people in your mind to support you? So you'll be saying, "I've got all my friends around me," and somebody might be a co-worker or somebody who you're sort of friendly with, but you wouldn't class them as the person that would be there next to you.
I think it makes it probably easier to talk to someone that you don't feel like you're going to let them down. And they don't. So the other strange thing I was going to say actually is I'm very, very lucky. I've got a lot of good friends around me. Emma and I have known each other for God knows how many years. Only recently we've come into each other's lives properly in the last few years. But I've got a couple of friends which I would trust my life with. But with you, I can tell you everything. and you've been my go-to.
Yeah, we have been for each other,
and for vice versa. Yeah, and I think it's really important to find that connection with someone that you can trust, that's never going to judge you for feeling how you're feeling, looking how you're looking. I mean, we've seen each other in all sorts of ways. We've cried,
Stop, John.
But I just think it's really important to find that one person. And again, if it's somebody that's not close to you, that's okay. Because I think some people are worried about being judged.
No, and judging's really tricky, isn't it? Because, again, when you're in that bad moment, somebody may not be judging you, but you feel like they are. It's an internal judgment of your own self, but
and if
you
you
betray
really
that
love
to them.
someone, you feel that you're going to let them down. Like the person that attempted this thing, recently, the suicide, I think now realised what they had done. I'm trying not to give to it, but they sort of realised what they have done and actually realised that they should have spoke out and how bad it made me feel because we are very close. So just having that one person that you can go to, regardless of who it is, where you can be your true self, even if it means you just get a counsellor. But
That is that fear of judgment. You're absolutely right. It is that fear of judgment because we've all got people in our lives that we're really close with and that we love and that we mean the world to each other, but we're frightened about letting people down. And sometimes the coping mechanisms that we choose might not necessarily be ones that we think they're going to approve of. There's always that kind of fear about being too open with people about kind of actually what is going on. Particularly if you're regarded as the strong one. I think with us sat around the table, we'll probably be regarded as the strong people within our friendships and families.
We've all had moments, haven't we? Well, I wanted to pick up on something. I don't know, obviously, what you think, but you mentioned even as a counsellor, there's a real stigma about being with counsellors as well, isn't there? Even though they are there as a real good asset to try and help you, people feel that, I'm failing, so I need a counsellor. Yeah. And that's something we have to get over as society, isn't it? That actually these professionals are there because actually for this
they care. They're in that job profession because they want to help.
And this 5 minutes of your life, you can't look after yourself properly. And it's not that you're failing yourself, but actually you're overwhelmed.
Yeah. And the good thing, again, you sometimes don't need face-to-face. You can, use phone lines and you can, refer yourself. You don't ever have to meet that person. Yes, they might know your name, but you don't have that fear of judgment. I mean, when my dad got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and at the time we were in the pandemic, he was in Gibraltar, I was here, my partner and I were going through a really bad time. I used to sit in the car on the drive and speak to TalkWorks. And the lady really, really helped me, see the bigger picture because I was just I had a baby, I just had a 6-month-old, and I'm in this country in lockdown, my dad's over there, I don't know how long he's got. I needed to talk to somebody and I'm trapped in this house with the one person I'm not getting on with at the time because we're on lockdown and we're in each other's, shadows.
It's hard.
It was really hard. I used to go and sit in the car and talk, but having that one person I could pick up the phone to, I've never met them, have no idea who they are, but I had someone to talk to.
That's really interesting. So just for anyone who might not have come across them, what is TalkWorks?
It's a phone line that you can call. I think it's local. It's no 1803 number. And I think they're based in Paynton. And you can go in and have face-to-face. And you can call them at any time and refer yourself. Even if you speak to a doctor, they'll usually say refer yourself. And they were really good. And I actually used them again after my dad passed away because my husband and I separated as well, all at the same time. And I had CBT treatment, is it? Because I was having irrational thoughts. Just as I was falling to sleep, I'd have really irrational visions of something terrible happening to my son. It gave me a really bad fear and anxiety that something really bad was going to happen to the one precious thing in my life after losing dad and my husband. So they really, really helped. Really, really helped. And there's lots of other services out there, I'm sure, but they're the one the doctor always.
That's really lovely to hear.
And they're local.
And that's really good case study almost, isn't it, of what can be done. You were going through an absolutely awful, I mean, if you lose your partner, you lose your parent, everyone at the same time, it is so much to deal with, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I don't think you need to lose somebody to have that fear of a child either.
No.
I mean, I remember laying in bed and almost you can listen to the child's heartbeat next to you going, are they still breathing? Are they still
You're
breathing?
waiting for it to stop.
All night long,
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Absolutely.
fear is awful. My little girl was born prematurely, and that kind
She
of
was,
threw me out in all sorts of ways. And you have this vision of childbirth and how it's going to be, and actually for your little girl to be born and to be so small and so tiny and so vulnerable, and like you just can't do anything about it.
They're already so small and tiny, and you're worried you're going to hurt them anyway.
Completely helpless. And I was in a room in the hospital, and there was no windows. And it was just me and her in there for a couple of weeks. And I remember, like at one point, I'll just leave her in a little cot thing. And I knew the doctors would be coming around at a certain time, and I'd be picking her up in time for the doctors to come in. Like, oh, this is lovely. This is lovely. We're really bonding. But actually, I was like, at what point am I going to start to like bond? And my friend came in one day, and she brought in and like to do like a movie night and brought in popcorn. And she brought in a tablet and stuff. And I just burst into tears because it was just like the act of kindness that somebody had showed. And I just absolutely I think for the first time kind of realised I wasn't coping with it at all very well. And yeah, for such a long time afterwards, when I got her home, I was like, I can't take her home. And like you say, that constant paranoia and that fear all the time.
I mean, it's hard enough anyway, having a baby for the first time, and suddenly you go into hospital, there's 2 of you, and then you go home and there's 3 of you in the car, and you're responsible for this little human, but yours is extra small.
And the impact that has on you psychologically, it can't even be explained almost. And I think, that's obviously we get kind of like postpartum depression and stuff. I never got diagnosed with it. I don't know if I had that, but I really, really struggled, especially when she first came home, and I felt like it was just kind of me and her against the world, and I pushed her dad out. We're not together anymore, but I pushed her dad out at the time because I was just so like hyper focused on this little thing. And I think you don't realise how much impact stuff has on
that
you.
makes me feel quite sad. As somebody who thinks the world of you, I'm like, oh God.
And that's meant to be a beautiful time, and she struggled.
I think it's really tricky, isn't it? Especially for mums and things, because you're expected to love this child from day one, and I'm sure everyone has a love for their child, but you don't know the baby, and for men that's really hard too, because we're expected to. You've been carrying them. We've just been. We've got no idea.
They're being flipping useless.
What's this? Don't wheel me.
It's crying
But
again.
I think when you go back to the hospital side, especially for someone like you who's had this child really early, you're in a bay with people you don't know. The baby's in a room away from you.
I've had a C-section as well, so it wasn't even like I could just go.
Really get up and
just like get up and go to her. So I had that as well, and I was like relying on people to wheel me up to go up and see her as well. So at one point I was literally crawling up the corridor to get to my kid.
Good. Saturday mornings, that's good exercise for it. So you're well versed to that. But I think there is something also about being very alone, isn't there? So you're in this bay with 6 other people, your baby's away, your partner's not there, and you're sat there, you're in discomfort, you're worried about your child, and you're alone. It doesn't matter what someone comes at, that's really hard.
I was so angry with people in the ward, the people that hadn't had a C-section, they could just go and see their baby, and they're just lying there going, I'm really tired, I'm going, get up and see your baby. I was like literally raging in the morning. Well, they put me in a separate ward in the end, because I was just like...
They sectioned her, is what she means.
That was wine withdrawal.
Terrorising the other new mums, like, Emma, go away.
Well, I can't even begin to imagine, because my child was, healthy, and he was a big lump, bless him, and he still sleeps in my bed now, and he's 6 years old. So I've never let him, I have tried to let him, and he would quite happily go in his own room, but Mummy won't let him. And again, we're on our own now anyway, so it's not the end of the world, and there's lots of health benefits. Some people will agree and disagree, but my hat is off to you, because I was in hospital for 2 days on my own. It was a 48.5-hour labour, and, I had all sorts, but I couldn't do it.
We're good now.
Must be awful.
Amy is alive and kicking and makes herself known.
And she is the boss.
And she is the boss, the mini boss. Absolutely. So yeah, all good. We're through that.
So Lee, your turn, mate, because you're hearing a lot from us, and you're sitting really quietly, and it's always the ones that are quiet got to watch out for.
Got wise words to say.
You would definitely got to watch out for the quiet ones. I think mental health is all around us. I think at the minute there's this false narrative that you've either got mental health or you haven't. There's the person who's got depression, the person who's got anxiety, and then there's the person over here who doesn't have mental health. Now, they might not have a mental health diagnosis, they might not have anxiety or depression, but if that person who doesn't identify themselves as a mental health sufferer has 6 meetings in a day, none of them go well, the boss goes mad at them because all their meetings have gone bad, then that person's going to start to suffer from stress, anxiety, stuff like that. So I think mental health for me is not something, it's everything. So it's something that we all suffer from. I think, as well, I've got a strong opinion on it. I think that it's okay to not be okay. We all know that now. So I worry about some of the people with the stiff upper lip, pull my socks up. This ADHD stuff didn't exist in my day. I think people like that who didn't really believe in the first place are I think we're in a dangerous position with mental health and the stigma that surrounds it.
I don't know if I agree, really. I'm going to be the
Controversial.
No,
It's
always
controversial. and I think there are people like that. Okay. We also think that we have to be careful in this day and age that things aren't becoming trendy.
Yeah.
I think some teenagers and things, they want to be trendy, they want to be part of the gang, so they get these labels. I also think there's parents that want to label their children because they get the extra benefits, get the extra help. And I think that has its own risk. So for me, I think we have to be really careful not to pre-label and bring them into this because of our own opinions of what should be happening.
Do you know what a ridiculous thing I heard the other day, is that somebody said the only reason that we're seeing all of these videos on social media about ADHD mainly, and other things like mental health and additional needs, whatever, is because it's a money-making thing. And they're like, well, we didn't have it back then. And I've said, well, we're just recognising things.
No, I think I'm going to disagree with you, John.
Good.
And go back to Lee and
Standards.
Lee, just because I want to disagree with you. But I think in the same way that we all have physical health, and sometimes our physical health, we're good and we're healthy and things are going really, really well. Any one of us at any time is susceptible to a broken leg, susceptible to a migraine, susceptible to a sickness bug. So in the same way, I get where Lee's coming from. That actually,
I don't completely disagree.
Well, you did actually.
I'll piss off.
I mean, because we can talk about it and we can talk about like physical health and mental health, but the two go hand in hand.
Yes.
Because when you're not well, you feel like rubbish. You don't want to get up. Again, postnatal depression, things like that. That then creates a mental health problem. So I'm cancer survivor. So I had cancer when I was 19. Wasn't really.
You kicked his ass.
It definitely did. Definitely did. That was very lucky. That was very lucky. But the thing is, I heard that C word. So I heard the doctors talk about the C word. All sorted. Got it treated. It was actually just located the kidney, so I just whipped one out.
I'll just whip it out.
I've only got one kidney. That means I can't eat that much steak, but I eat that much steak anyway because
I've had steak 3 nights in a row this week. I think it's terrible.
I had it 3 nights last week. It's but when I got the all clear, you get what's called kind of like survivor, and it's really bad. I got very, very angry. I got very unable to process things. And I think, physical health and mental health, it's all quite intertwined. And one of the statements I've heard before, if you don't make time for your mental health, it will make it a priority. And like you said, you just stopped walking, and it was like, I'd pour off.
Yeah.
And then it was like, no,
you're not going to walk anymore.
Yeah, you're not going to walk anymore.
But I think you're right. I think it really does go in. Everyone says, you exercise and stuff. For me, I disappear off for days walking. If I need to de-stress, I'm just going to get in my van, I'm going to go. And I think you're right, it goes in hand, doesn't it? If you feel good about yourself, you feel fitter, you will feel better mentally as well.
Yeah, definitely. And you're eating well, and you're just being much more kind of productive and stuff. Like the day after that had happened, it was the Sunday after that Friday had happened, I went for a really long walk on the moors with my friend, and we chucked ourselves into a freezing cold lake. And honestly, the benefits, I was like, honestly, thank you so much for today, because it literally has, like, it's just done me the world of good.
Just being out in fresh air and being out with nature and just switching your phone off for a minute. You didn't have any signal, did you? Because I couldn't get hold of you.
No, she just ignored you.
But it's good for the soul. Yeah. But then you can be at a point where you're so bad, mentally and physically, that you can't get yourself there.
And there's a key to that, isn't it? Is realising the early stages, those early markers. Because we all know when we're starting to feel a bit low.
Yeah, I was talking about that today. But kind of going back to what you were saying, Lee, about kind of that cancer survivor guilt. Again, a very close family member to me. They went through a diagnosis of cancer. They had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. They were really, really, really poorly. And they came through it. And it was like everyone was expecting that person to be really, really happy. And why aren't you happy? And, and actually, at a point where their life has been so massively impacted, by surviving cancer, and that guilt that it brought, that they're now, you know, we would refer to them as an alcoholic, and, you know, a functioning alcoholic maybe, but it's had such a huge impact and changed them fundamentally as a person and the person that I knew, because they've come through something as massive as that. And I think society goes, well, you've come through it, what are you on about? Why are you not happy? You should be happy. But
grateful.
We can't understand, like, unless we've been through that, we can't understand the complexities that kind of brings along with it, and then the knock-on impact that potentially you could have for the rest of that person's life.
So did it make you angry then, or how did? Because I mean, I know a couple of people, and again, their personality have changed, and they were a family member, and they've just become. They used to be a really happy, giggly person, full of life, and a fun person to be around, and now they really are not. It's totally the opposite, and still to this day. And we all thought, well, you're really lucky to survive, but we couldn't work out what it was. Is it maybe you're worried it's going to come back? Does that play on the mind, or?
No, I think it's because you prepared yourself for the eventuality, because you hear a certain word and it's like, right, that's it. I've prepared myself to shuffle off the mortal coil, as they say. And then when that doesn't happen...
Posh way of putting it.
Yes.
I don't even understand what he said.
He's not from Newton Abbott, is he?
Doesn't
back to
give that away. Yeah, it's almost, you've got yourself prepared, and then life's got to happen again. You've got to, like, restart your life from there.
I think some people do, though. I think some people do then have this underlying paranoia that gives them anxiety problems. You know, we have people that we know that have had heart attacks at a young age, and although they wouldn't say, oh, I'm worried about having a heart attack, they now suffer with anxiety problems and all sorts, and it just manifests. And once you get in that loop, it's really hard to get out of.
Yeah, that loop, that's such. We all get ourselves into that loop sometimes, don't we?
I haven't been ever diagnosed with cancer, but when I was 18, I was very, very extremely lucky. Just off chance that I discovered I had the most aggressive precancerous cell, SIN1, on the cervical. And I had a couple of operations, and they actually said because I was 18 and the smear age was 21, by the time I would have turned 20, the age changed from 21 to 25. So she said, you categorically just wouldn't be here. Yeah. I was that riddled. So I am really, really lucky. But now I'm nearly 40 years old. I try and eat healthy.
What do you mean just 40? You've had your 40th.
I've just turned 40. Did I not say I've just turned 40?
I'm nearly 40.
I'm nearly 40. I'm nearly 40. 21 really.
She's definitely 40.
Just a number.
But I am constantly paranoid about my health. We could all be on a weekend away. We'll all be having a lovely time and having a drink, and all of a sudden I go to I need to go to bed. What am I doing? I'm having a drink. I should be drinking.
Welcome to the 40s.
I've been like it for about 10 years though. I'd say definitely. I think since having a child actually.
Yeah,
I've been really, really paranoid about everything, and I well done.
I think you do that, don't they? I think you and I have spoken about you being having cancer a few times, but you're a great guy, and you could do things like this, and I appreciate you being here, mate. So, yeah,
no, definitely. So bringing us back, because we spoke about being in that black place, in that place where you can't pull yourself out, and I think most people have been in a downward spiral before. I think whether it's depression, whether it's burnout, things like that, and it's about spotting the signs. But on the flip of that, so how can we tell if we're in a good place mentally, and how do we then repeat that so we adapt those positive behaviours? So does anyone want to go on that first?
I'm going to throw it at the ladies.
I'm just impressed you called me a lady.
Stuff at ladies.
That's the first time, John, you've ever called me a lady in years,
I don't
in
know
years
really
of friendship.
what I was thinking.
What's in that cup?
That's whiskey.
It's all making sense now. I think some of it, I think it's dependent on whether or not there's a kind of combination of factors that have led us to a certain point where we are kind of with our mental health, or if it's if we've got a diagnosed condition, depression, anxiety, etc. So I think we have to recognise the difference, that sometimes there's factors in our lives that lead us to certain to feel a certain way, and sometimes there's conditions that we kind of need treatment for, and we need to accept that there are some conditions that we need to speak to a counsellor, we need to perhaps take medication, we need to have therapy, etc. And that's kind of very different to us getting to a dark place for other numerous reasons. And I know myself, like, if I'm, I know when I'm feeling in a good way, and my friends know when I'm feeling in a good way, and me and Jenna voice note 65,000 times a day, and we say to each other, oh God, you're in a really good place, so I can hear it.
I can hear it in
you're
your
buzzing,
voice.
you're having a really good day, and kind of encouraging each other. But then it does go back to that making sure, kind of looking after ourselves and making the right decisions when it comes to kind of, the foods that we're eating, the exercise that we're taking, getting outside, socialising, spending time with people, and kind of, and getting out there and experiencing new things, and not, I think it's when you kind of begin to shut yourself away and not talk about things that you're in danger of spiralling. But actually, if you kind of go, I'm in a really good place and I'm loving it, and I'm going to drink my ginger and turmeric, and whether or not that's kind of a placebo.
I know who she's referring to there, by the way.
But whether or not that's a placebo or not,
Yeah.
if drinking ginger and turmeric makes you feel like you're doing something great and it's putting you into a good headspace, take your lion's mane, take your vitamin B12. But actually, if that's what's helping you and that makes you feel
Even
like
if it's a placebo.
yeah. If you feel like you're in control and you're making positive steps and you're making your frittatas in the morning with your courgettes in.
She's referring to you again.
No, I didn't get that.
But it's those things that you feel like you're taking control of your
Yes.
life and how you're feeling, and that's massively important. So
Because
regardless
I feel
of,
like I'm pulling in the good. Yeah.
So regardless
that's
of whether
exactly
or not, and it's about you seeking out new experiences, recently and the things that you're doing, and you feel like, you said to me, I think it was today actually, like, I feel like the more I'm putting in, the more I'm getting back. And if that's what's kind of working, I think it's the same for all of us. If we get into that positive mindset and embrace that and chase that, then hopefully we can.
But we
feel
are
okay for a
very
bit longer.
lucky. We recognise or have each other to recognise when we're feeling really low.
Yeah,
But there are people out there that actually have just got through life and they're okay, and then all of a sudden they have a really shitty patch.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, what do I do now? Some people don't recognise when they're going under time, and they don't have the people there to surround them or to recognise it. Some people don't 65,000 voice notes a day. So, we're really lucky we have that. Don't, because I'm going to voice note you every day now.
Hi, John. Hello.
Going to block us all tonight.
Block.
But yeah, we're very lucky that we recognise and we know. I don't know if it comes with age, I don't know, but...
So it's early warning indicators, isn't it? And actually,
yeah.
I'm not doing very well today, so what can I do to get myself out of this slump?
I think you also sometimes have to be very selfish.
Yeah.
If I love the phrase "show me your friends, I'll show you your future." I love that because I think it's really relevant in lots of things. And it's
I've never heard that phrase before.
who you socialise with is how you sort of end up. So if you socialise in a big group of druggies, you probably end up on drugs.
Yeah.
If you socialise with multimillionaires, you probably end up a millionaire. So let's go and
Show me
find
the
some.
money. That's
So
there's no millionaires in Newton Abbott.
but I think
Oh, I'm going.
there's a real balance, isn't there? So if you and I are really close friends and you're going into a downward spiral and we can support each other, that's great, and you can help each other out. If that spiral carries on for years and years and years and it starts to affect me personally, I've got to step away.
Absolutely.
I've
that's
got to go,
really
do you know what, I'm
important.
really, really sorry, I love you dearly, but you're making me feel down. And there is that fine balance of being selfish sometimes to protect yourself, and you have to understand. I think that comes with age.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
But, the best one in the world, you don't want to do that, so you feel compromised, and then you feel even more pissed off because you're like, I don't let them down.
But the people say if you're down and you're depressed and you're anxious, you come across very very self-centred and, how do I put it?
But it can come across like that.
Selfish.
That's the truth. That's
Selfish.
the
It
truth.
does.
If
It
you're
does.
talking
You
to
become
someone-
very selfish.
Yeah.
The world is at me. The world is against me, and it's all about me. And what
It's not
you said
intentionally
there-
selfish,
No, absolutely not.
And you're cycling because you just keep going round and round in circles.
But I've always been a people pleaser as well, and I've always wanted people to like me, and I want to help you, and I want to help you, and I want to help
failing.
You're
you.
doing a very good job, Jen.
Anyway, but yeah, I just think it's really important to be selfish sometimes, and now I've learnt to do that actually I need to look after me, and if I don't have me, I'm a carer for my mum and I look after myself. They don't have me, so I've got to look after me. And actually, it is good to be selfish, and it is okay to look after you.
Because it protects you and your own mental
Yeah,
health.
absolutely. Especially if you're looking after a little human, and like I said, I'm my mother's carer as well. I mean, I'm looking after two people, and I don't even know how I look after myself.
Neither do I.
I don't even know how I've got here. How did I get here?
You drove, unfortunately.
It took some directions. She's on the phone for 20 minutes. Left, right.
Down by spoons,
She's
Jen.
still
Down
got
by
it
spoons.
No. I mean, what do you think? Because, you're very composed, you're very quiet, because we're just being pillocks, and you're being very professional here.
I'm just as much of a pillock.
Yes,
It's just, so I've had burnout a few times So I had it in 2019, and that was just crazy. It was to the point where I just was seeing life through my eyes, but I was unable to like get off the bed or anything like that. And I always remember the memory that comes back to me is Ben must have been about 4 or 5 at the time. Was just bouncing like, what's up with Daddy?
That's hard pill to swallow, isn't
Yeah,
it?
that's really
Yeah. And then I had it again in about 22. And I think there's a study that people with ADHD do suffer from burnout because we are people pleasers. We want to do too much. Our minds are going all the time. So we are kind of like inclined to get burnout.
And we're empaths as well, aren't we? So we really feel.
Yeah.
Like a sponge.
And it's that the second time I had it, I had what was called perpetual burnout. So burnout it can be in an exercise like singularity. So it could be like I've got burnout and the next day I'm fine. I've addressed the stresses, the things that are causing burnout. But in 22, when I got it, it was every day. So I kind of like didn't escape from it. There was stuff going on at home, stuff going on at work, financial pressures, and it was just for about like 3 or 4 weeks, it was just every day. So that takes a long time to recover from. And it kind of started creeping up at the back end of last year, but then you start picking up the signs for it, and it's the same with all of the mental health stuff that we suffer from. Again, you guys have already talked about that, but for me, it was when I was being cynical, and I'm like, and John will tell you that I'm the least cynical person in the world. I'm like bright, bubbly, I've always got a smile.
But I remember speaking to you around that time, and we had a long chat dinner, and I was like, "You okay, mate?
Knock.
You okay? This is a bit odd." No, it's all crap, John. Is it okay?
Yeah. So yeah, it's just
Helpful,
about
John.
spotting those signs. I mean, and I think depression's another one, isn't it? Because they call it the black dog, and that is like the best identification for any kind of medical diagnosis there is, because when you've got depression, you can't see through it. Everything's awful. Everything's shit.
Yeah.
Everything is, and someone will say to you when you've got depression, what about that time? That was a good time, wasn't that? It was rubbish.
Yeah.
It's
Because
amazing
you
how
only
you
see
can
the
make
negative.
see
everything.
through it. It's
Yeah.
here. The blackness is here, and again, that is kind of depression's a hard one. Anxiety, imposter syndrome. I mean, they're all kind of like.
Massive, yeah.
I had it last week just before I went on the stage with this big galah. Kind
Sorry,
of
run that past me again.
big
Full
galah.
of really nice things to say about each other
You're a
tonight.
big galah, John.
I thought you said gorilla. I was like,
I would say gorilla, yes. I think that's what he said.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just like, why me? What am I? I'm a kid from like council estate in Liverpool. Why am I getting up on stage in front of so many like amazing people and hosting a discussion on innovations to help disabled people remain independent at home for longer? I'm like, that's still a really bad title.
I
Really
think,
bad.
yeah, I think we all do that though. I mean, for those of us who do go and sit on the stage, and when you first start doing, you're overwhelmed, aren't you? You stood there, you're doing the speech, and you're shaking, and you think, oh my god, there's
No, I don't know what that feels like. I'm going to show off.
There's five. So my first ever time I did it, I got a 2 weeks notice to do a Outstanding Care Awards, 15-minute slot, and I got really bad dyslexia, so I wouldn't be able to read this out. I can read it and I can understand it.
I still haven't.
So I wouldn't be able to read it. So I had to write and remember a 15-minute speech and then deliver it in front of 500 of my peers. I just remember standing at the top going, my heart's going, brrrr, but you still do it and gradually get better at it. But that feeling that you get is absolutely right, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because like you, I'm from a poor background, I'm from a dodgy estate. Lots of my friends like you have died from heroin and cocaine, and well, not so much your friends might have done.
That's my friends like you, Jenna.
Not literally that. But,
Wow.
So,
Talk about health anxiety, John, and you're topping us.
so over the years, lots of my friends have died from that. So like you, I do sometimes go, oh my god. But then it comes to me that actually everyone's there to listen to you. And when we're talking, like as a group, we had a really good panel the other day, and every single person was engaged, nodding, and being respectful.
You get so much from that, don't you, when you kind of see that kind of positive feedback, and it kind of spurs you on then, doesn't it? To kind of
Although there's nothing worse than when you are talking and suddenly about 40 people stand up in a row and they all walk out. And you're like,
It only happens when John talks.
John.
so they're all talking, they're all right, and then I start talking, they start drifting out.
What do we now?
When I start talking, they come back in.
That yo-yo effect
Thank
is real.
God, that gorilla stopped talking.
Oh dear, this is going well, isn't it?
Oh.
It's gonna
Thanks for the sweets, by the way.
crack on. His sweets.
They are my all-time favourite sweets.
Oh, right there.
I'm not a chocolate person. I like jellies and sweets like that. Yeah, so just kind of like starting to bring it back round. So if someone we care about is struggling, how can we help them without making it worse? Because that's the thing we don't want to do. And sometimes as humans, we won't kind of like venture an opinion. We won't be like, are you okay? Because like, what if he tells me? Or what if I make it worse by saying this thing that...
I think it depends on how well you know them and the relationships you have with them, doesn't it? You know, if this Muppet phones me, it always depends on her tone of voice and what she's saying and how I respond. If you phone me, it's exactly the same, you know. But, you know, going back to that 8-minute things earlier, it is around sometimes just letting them get it off their chest. And don't even really have an opinion sometimes. Just let them chat it through and nod a lot and agree a lot or disagree a lot. But don't be afraid to also disagree. You can say, do you know what, I don't think that's quite right. You know,
I think it depends on what they're talking about.
It does.
Actually, sometimes people are desperately seeking validation around their feelings. And I think it depends on kind of the tone of the conversation, what it is that they're talking about.
It definitely does.
I think people feel really lonely and they feel like a bit of a burden when they're going through a really difficult time, you know, emotionally and mentally. You can feel like you're just putting your crap onto other people, but for them to know genuinely, like, you don't have to say anything to me. I'm going to check in with you. I want to make sure you're okay. You're not a burden. I care deeply. Like, if you want to kind of vent and rant. Rant and vent.
I couldn't even work that out.
In a really podcast.
That's a venti espresso.
But like that's all right though.
You go to Starbucks.
Yeah, and you can't like, you know, don't take the piss out of them too much because that's really offensive.
Voice note me later. It's alright, babe. It's alright, I'm your
You
friend.
got me, girl. But yeah, but it is like, it's going back to that thing. Like, it is okay not to be okay. I care. I genuinely give a shit. I'm genuinely here. Like, however you need me to show up, then I'll be there.
And if you can sense that somebody doesn't want to talk, just showing up a little bit more than you would and doing nice things, you know, they might end up actually just talking to you, because it depends who it is.
Yeah, it does.
Some people
massively.
don't want to talk, and some people don't even recognise they're in a bad place. So if you want to support someone, depending on who it is, you can try all those approaches, or you could just suddenly appear, or hey babe, I'm free. Do you want to go for a coffee? Or
Let's go out for a
just
walk.
try and worm your way in there.
Without making, like, that whole walk is really important. Don't make it a massive, like,
You don't
I'm
need to
worried
say,
about you,
"Are
I'm
you
here for
okay?"
you. Like, let's go grab a coffee. Like, I fancy a catch up. Like, rather than making it a big, huge thing about kind of their mental
That's
state
really
and
key,
you being
isn't it?
concerned.
Don't be part of the drama.
Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I upset somebody and I didn't mean to. Everyone's different. And I said, "Are you okay, darling? You didn't seem yourself last night." And that was a really close friend of mine, and it really upset her. And now I know not to approach her in that way. I could say that to you, but that didn't go down well with that person. So now, if I sense that she's not okay, I won't go, "Are you all right? You don't seem okay," because she would take offence to that. I'm just like, you know, dropping other questions. Yeah, what are you doing? Let's meet up. You know, that's how I would go about it now. We haven't come to that again since, but I was actually like, I couldn't understand how and why she was so upset with me saying, "Are you okay? You didn't seem yourself last night."
And that can gives you a knock, because you're like, I'm just trying to be really kind.
Yeah, I was really like upset.
Yeah, you kind of lost your head
because
about that, didn't you?
I couldn't believe that it really upset her that much, because I was like, I care. I'm showing you I care, but actually, in that person's head, that wasn't nice. That wasn't nice for me to say. "Are you okay? You don't seem yourself." She took that as, and now I know that, and I know how to approach it. So
she's
sometimes,
probably being quite self-conscious the night before and very aware of it, and thinking she'd managed to shield it, and then you're like, well, I didn't do a very good job.
Yeah.
How hard? I mean, it's really tricky. I mean, it's tricky. I mean, what about how do you deal with it? I mean, you deal with these things a lot. I mean, you're very in touch with people's feelings, and you do lots of these sort of chats, don't you?
A great one. So for me, it's all about and the phrase that you used there, which I just love. It's all about the give a shit factor. It's all about kind of giving a shit, showing up, being there. And I never tried to be too intrusive, so I was speaking to a colleague.
Well, it's impossible. You've seen your height.
Show me gorilla.
But I had a colleague and I asked them if they were okay because I knew they were struggling. I knew they had a high stress load, but they didn't want to talk. And again, I always ask if someone's okay. It's like, how are you doing? You all right? And then the person will say, yeah, I'm fine. How are you? And then I'll tell a little bit about myself and I'll be like, you all right? And I always make sure to drop in that second all right, because if they are fine, then if they are fine or they don't want to talk, they'll just say yes again. But sometimes that second one just goes, well, actually, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
And then it's about you just kind of showing up, being listening.
So it's also about the silent pause, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, because if
You're
you
ready
know
to
them that
listen.
well and you say, you're right, oh, yeah, I'm fine. If you say you're right, they go, yeah, I'm all right. That silent pause tells you more than the all right does.
Yeah.
And it's not about digging after that, but it's just about going, okay, well, that's good, let's just go out somewhere. In your head, you're going, oh, no, here we go.
Yeah.
Are they going to be okay when we get there? You know, how can I sort this out with them? It's tricky.
It's a big responsibility, isn't it? If someone actually says to you, do you know what? No, I'm not all right. And I kind of go, oh God, I'm not trained to deal with that.
Yeah.
And actually, then how do you kind of support that person? And if someone's actually kind of confessing to you that they're really struggling, they're not doing very well, then suddenly it almost feels like kind of some responsibilities onto you to fix them. And how do you deal with that? And are you doing it right? And are you making it worse?
Really important, isn't
I
it?
think that is a lot of pressure on someone sometimes.
That-
Actually, the person supporting the person with cancer is the one that's actually having the worst time, because they're being strong for themselves, being strong for that person, being strong for all of the, like...
I think that's really relevant, is it? To, because like some people, you know how to support people, some people really don't. So if you're going to say, are you okay? You need to have in your mind what you're going to do if they go, actually, I nearly hung myself last night.
Yeah.
And just stare at you. What do you do?
Exactly.
What do you do
and
with that?
you need to be prepared, because somebody might come out with something that's
exactly.
really brutal. You have to, in your mind's eye, go, actually, before I ask this question, how am I going to do that? Doesn't mean you shouldn't ask
Am
it.
I equipped? Do I know how I'm going to respond to that? And
Yeah.
is that going to cause more kind of harm than good potentially?
Because I think if that was me, I have been in that position before. I think it's a simple case of just giving someone a hug.
Yeah.
Just
Cuddle.
a cuddle will do a world of difference.
Human
and then
contact.
signposting them. Don't try to
Yeah, don't try and become the
Yeah.
Samaritans. Don't try and become...
just
Yeah.
signpost them to
Yeah.
GP, signpost them to Samaritans, signpost them to
Offer to go
Help
with them,
and
I'll hold
resort.
your hand, whatever. But I
Yeah.
think
Yeah, I'll
please-
come with you, but
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely,
you can't do
You
it.
don't want to be on your own when you do stuff like
Yeah.
that, absolutely.
No, but I think that's really good advice, isn't it? Don't try and be the hero now.
Yeah, absolutely. Hang on. Yeah.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts on the topic of an overview of mental health?
I think we've talked about it quite a lot. I think we've done a great job of explaining, because I think we've all been really real about it. We've all had our own different issues, and we brought that to the table here. There's not much more I feel I can say about it. I think it's such a massive subject, and it affects people in so many different ways. We could be here all night talking about it. I think, always look for a signpost that you can go to and get help from. Don't be afraid to reach out. Talk to your knob of friends.
Love the way it points over this
I know,
direction
I know.
again, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I can
I'm too
reach
close
it.
to
Yeah,
this
can
one.
you just punch it?
He can punch me, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? What are your final thoughts? Everyone.
I'll pass over and then I've got some
You're
links
gonna
to go.
finish.
Yeah, I think,
close.
I think I've kind of shared... Yeah,
Yeah,
kind
I
of what
think
to share.
everyone's got their own experience, and it could be, just general feeling low, something horrendous can happen in your life, you could have additional needs. There's so many things that happen in our day-to-day life. Life is so stressful, especially at the minute, and I just think it's just really, really...
Let's just acknowledge that.
Yeah, let's just acknowledge that
Yeah.
everyone's having a hard time. Everyone is stressed. Everyone's skin. We're all here trying to do our best, and let's try and focus on the positives and be there for each other. And if you feel that you need to reach out, a doctor, a phone line, TalkWorks, friend, even if it's the man that puts tickets on your cars, or I don't know, the ticket man, the car park attendant, or whatever you are. Anyone, it doesn't matter who it is, does it? Just reach out if you can. And sometimes writing things down as well can help. Writing down how you feel day to day.
Yeah, journaling's amazing.
I've actually done videos to myself when I've been trying to change my life for the better, and it's horrendous watching them. But you know, when you're trying to grow, actually you look back at those videos and you think, oh my goodness, yeah, I don't want to be back there. So yeah, there's so many different ways. Podcasts, listen to podcasts. That's what I've done. You know, with my ADHD. And actually, I don't feel like such a weirdo.
But you're great on this podcast. For somebody who's never done it before, I know you were quite nervous,
I've
but you're
been
excited.
desperate to do it for you. It's one of those ADHD things again.
I did have to talk John into letting you do it, by the way. just
I literally said, how am I going to gel with two of you guys?
Well, thank you for twisting her arm into letting me come. No, honestly, it's been... I was actually describing it to Emma. Every night when I go to sleep, you have these grand ideas. I'm going to do this tomorrow, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to be really fit and healthy, and I'm going to write a book. But I've always had this same thing where I'm going to do a podcast. I'm meant to talk. I'm really good at talking. I'm really good at parking, and I'm really good at talking. And I've always wanted to do something like this, but it's one of those things.
You just need the opportunity.
I needed the opportunity. I needed her to twist your arm, and I'm very grateful. Thank you.
It didn't take much of a twist, and I was just like, how the hell am I going to the two of you?
I'm
glad you're here, mate.
I think we've been quite well behaved.
We have been very well behaved. Even
Wait for episode 3 or 4.
Sometimes I can't cope with us together, so we're doing good. We're doing good.
I just want to, just before he disappears, we should put a little part of this video on that they shared with us the other day. We're in the car park, and they're jumping in front of the camera and they're dancing around. Right. I'm like, this is going to be
It wasn't planned though. This is the thing. We literally had a roast dinner. We're in a car park in the back of this pub, just dancing.
And then Jenna
to
was
nothing.
like, well, seeing as we're doing it,
I might as well record it. Then yeah, there we are.
Did you get the invite for the roast dinner?
2,500 views.
No, next time you can come for roast dinner next time.
Did you get the invite for the roast dinner?
You can come for roast dinner next time.
Mate, they're worried about it. We don't get roasted too.
We have enough of that.
Actually, they can come if they pay, can they? Yeah. There you go. You're invited next Sunday.
Well, standard.
That's Mother's Day. They're not on Mother's.
Oh shoot.
Unlucky.
So, any final thoughts?
No, not really. I'm just eyeing up your sweets. I want to eat them really.
No, I was looking at my
Crack them
salivating
open
actually.
in a minute.
On the microphone.
It's too late. Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah, I think for me, and it's about the activist, advocate type of thing that until a broken mind or a damaged mind gets treated in the same way as a broken leg does, I think there's still road left to fight. I think we still need to be talking about mental health. We still need to be raising awareness of it. Like I say, we all have mental health. It does not give a shit who you are. It doesn't matter if you're on the breadline and you're struggling to make ends meet. It doesn't matter if you're a multi-billionaire. I mean, I'm sure it's easier, but if we look at some of the high-profile cases, people like Gary Speed,
Robin Williams, Heath Ledger,
Chester Bedingfield from Linkin Park. I can't believe that. But then you listen to his songs and like he was obviously struggling with mental health.
I think one thing I want to drop in there though is also remember that mental health is quite often momentary. It feels like the end of the world in that moment, but in a year's time, you probably won't be in that same position.
We'll be going down that path in the next episode. So.
Oh, we're going. Okay,
John.
Yeah. I'm hoping that John is going to do his job and do something right and put some links down at the bottom when we release these. But
I might do.
I
might.
See if you can be bothered.
Better.
Probably not.
You know me too well. I might post it. I mean, this might just be it. I mean,
he's not actually just wanted friends for the night.
Yeah, I'm lonely. I've got no
I've got
life.
nothing on whatsoever. Any night's good for me.
Yeah, honestly.
A few resources. So Mind UK, www.mind.org.uk. A good place for information and support. Samaritans. 0116 that's a 24/7 helpline. For anyone who doesn't know about Samaritans, it's emotional support helpline. NHS Mental Health Service, www.nhs.uk/mental-health, and that gives us access to UK-based mental health resource. Time to Change, www.timetochange.org.uk. Thank you, everyone,
Thank you.
and look forward to the next episode.
So this has been Mind Matters. So it's been a great episode. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Don't come back though.
Thank you to everyone apart from John.
Say Jenna then.
Bye.